today we're going to be on the test server for patch 9.7, and we're going to be having a look at the brand new French tier 9 and 10 medium tanks, the AMX-31 prototype and the tier 10 AMX-30B. Now straight off, looking at them both, you can see they look absolutely amazing with the new HD texture that Wargaming have put in. And after, I think it was the Fury tank, they said they were going to be putting a lot more extra little details onto the tanks, and you can really see that on these tanks, especially the 30B, and they look absolutely gorgeous. Now let's start off with the AMX-31. It gets an insanely good gun, the 105mm gun that most tier 9 tanks, medium tanks will get a 105mm, but this is an especially good one. It's got a very good rate of fire, but namely it gets an insane amount of penetration, very good accuracy and pretty good aiming time. This is a gun I will directly compare with the Patton's gun. And the E50's gun. Now, as you can straight away see, the E50 is by far the best on terms of accuracy, with the Patton being the worst, but the Patton is by no means a slow aimer, and neither is the AMX-31. The AMX-31 absolutely wins in the penetration department. It gets over 40 more than the Patton and exactly 40 more than the E50. However, it does hang behind a tiny bit in the rate of fire, but I'm sure with a decent crew and consumables you won't be able to notice a gigantic difference. Now we're going to have a look at the armour. As you can see, it has very little armour at all. Its gun mantlet is better than the the Leopards, but you still won't be getting many bounces at all off this tank, as it has a hull armour of 80mm, and while it is angled, I'm pretty sure that you won't be able to bounce stuff off it, or if you do, you're going to be very lucky, as there are some very, very big guns shooting back at you. Has kind of an average hit pool for this tier. We'll have a look at the other medium tanks of this tier. The Patton, it gets less than the Patton, but I do believe it gets more than Lorraine and less than the E50. Now, as you can see, it has a very, very good power to weight ratio, which I think is 21.85. That is an excellent power to weight ratio, which will mean it will be able to reach its top speed of 65 kilometers per hour very quickly indeed. It also has a pretty good traverse speed of 36, but this is quite weak compared to some of the others of this tier. Let's have a quick look at how it plays out in a game. As you can see, it's the typical test server matchmaking. Very few tanks that aren't tier 10. So we're going to see what we can do. Now I must hasten to mention that these tanks have an excellent camo rating, much like the Leopard, and very good mobility. While they are the only tanks in the game to be equipped with a smoothbore gun, which Wargaming happened to not bother modelling and instead put in a rifled texture on the gun, which annoyed me just a tad. But I think I'll be able to get over it. Oh, and seemingly quite a weak ammo rack, much like the Leopard one as well. Where did we receive that hit from? Don't know where that was received from, but it took out our ammo rack nevertheless. So that might well be a problem with this tank. And artillery as well seems to greatly affect this. Don't know how well we're going to be able to do in this game, but you can hear the heat being fired at us. I wonder what heat penetration this is. 320 millimeters of heat penetration with this gun. This tank is also very accurate for its tier 3.3 dispersion, which is very good. 0.33, just to clarify, not 3.3. Bounced off the E100 there, but that's to be expected at that kind of range. And you can again hear the heat being fired, because people that play the test server have no knowledge of playing high tiers, and have no knowledge of the heat mechanics in the game. So they neglect to notice the pros and cons of the heat ammunition. Just watching the E100 out of the corner of my eye, gotta be careful, because that guy can finish us off in one more shot. Don't know if it's worth taking a shot. Might as well, but most of his tank is very well angled, and we're not loading premium at the moment, so a shot to the turret isn't really worth it. The benefit of this tank over the Leopard prototype is definitely the increased reload time, as the Leopard prototype, I believe, has a really bad reload time, much like the Centurion 7/1. Just gonna reposition elsewhere so as to get the jump on the enemies when they try and pull off something like that. We're then able to take out the T-62A and continue to move across the map. And we are the last tank left. I believe it's going to be pretty damn difficult to win this game, but I'll give it a damn good try. Artillery! Woo! Got a little bit of air there, as you can see. Trying to get out of the view range of the enemy tanks on the ridge. And going for a surprise assault around the back to hopefully kill some artillery. And maybe get some shots into the rear of the E100 as he assaults the base. You can really see the mobility characteristics of this tank here, but not the best. Back gun depression, and we unluckily bounced off the E100 there. We really need to move position though, because this is not, and I think we may have been spotted there, but obviously we don't have 6 sensors. This is the test server and I haven't had any time to grind out a decent crew for this. Vehicle. Spotted the enemy artillery. We place a big shot into him. Oh goodness me, that was very close. I think that might have been the E100 or the Tiger. Didn't sound like an E3's gun. Artillery's trying to hit left, right and centre. Need to keep moving. Maybe try and put a shot or two into the E100 if he's in a location for me to be spotted. I'm being commanded to spot, but nevertheless I'm going to ignore my allies as I frankly could not give less of a shit. They can look after themselves. There you go, spotted. Hopefully that will shut them up. And we are taken out. Unfortunately there, we should have loaded the HE round before we came against them, but nevertheless, our team was outplayed by the enemy. The Conqueror gun carrier is never going to reload in time, as he's probably been spotted and artillery is very likely zoning in on him right at this moment. And he is taken out. Let's see how we did. Didn't do too badly there with 3,200 damage in a very, very tier 10 game. We did our best to carry, but the M53 did get quite lucky with where he hit. He hit us directly, not having aimed for very long at all, but we should have loaded the HE shell nevertheless. And yeah, but we did all we could. And now we come on to the AMX 30B. Now this tank is a straight upgrade from the AMX 31er. It has the same gun, but as you'll see, the gun has much, much better characteristics. Well, it won't let me compare them, but the dispersion of the 31er's gun is 0.33, where this is upgraded to 0.3, and it had an aiming time of 2.3, and this is now 2.1, meaning that it very, very quickly switches targets and is able to aim in on a new target. And when you are using vert stabs, it makes that bloom even less when switching targets. Gets a very good rate of fire upgrade, making the reload, I think, 7.2 seconds long. Well, it's a very, very quick reload. Nevertheless, it's easily faster than, for example, the Patton or the E50Ms, which the two of them I consider nowadays to be two of the, the two worst tier 10 mediums, as they've been neglected and pretty much only hated on by wargaming, but we'll get onto that some other time. It gets quite a low hit point count actually for a tier 10 medium, one equal to I think the object 140, but this tank I believe is only 4 tons heavier than the 31er, but it has the same engine power, meaning that its specific power is slightly worse at 19.75 horsepower per ton, but that does not limit it very much, as the soft stats of the 30B are a lot better than the 31er. The traverse speed on this got a very good upgrade from 36 to 48, and I think the hull armour stayed exactly the same, with the exception of it getting 5mm extra on the side of the hull, but that will make very, very little difference apart from very low caliber guns firing HE at the side of it. But most of, for example, if there is a high tier tank destroyer and they put an HE shell into the front of this tank, it will absolutely wreck it and destroy a lot of modules. It's, as I said, its traverse speed got a good upgrade, but its turret traverse, I think, got a slight downgrade. But it got an extra 20 meters of view range, meaning that this will be a very good scout, and if you get a good camo crew and perhaps 6th sense, you will be well on your way to having a tier 10 scout. Let's have a quick look at how it gets on in a game. Now we're having a look at a game in the 30B. This is live though, so hopefully we have an alright game. I'm going to try and get into the kind of D5 spot that many fast, mediums and light tanks will try and get to at the beginning of the game, so as to get some spots on the heavy tanks that are making their way to the corner of Doom at J5. Scottish took over a little bit there, corner of Doom, not Doom. The mobility of this tank is excellent, as is the track traverse, which you can really see after the 31er, but nevertheless is not really a problem with that tank either. They're both very, very quick. Get a nice shot into the back of the T-57 there. Hopefully we reload fast enough to get another. Unfortunately we don't. And our allies have already started munching each other. Yeah. I-7 has been spotted mid-map, so I'm going to try and put a couple of shots in if the Waffenträger gets out of the way. And we get hit by, I believe, the Alfie 100. But unfortunately I neglected to add any HE ammunition onto this tank, so I won't be able to do the massive damage that I have the potential to do to him per shot, which would be 480. So that's a shame. We've lost another ally. Ooh! Nice ammo rack there. We're going to progress as the Waffenträger E100 has been unspotted and was last, making his way down into that lake, so I'm not feeling all too confident about where he may be. Sorry about that. There he is, spotted by the Jägeroo. He may well be turning around, so I'm going to make my way down. Landed on one track there, so luckily didn't take any damage. And now we're going to be chasing up the IS-7. Oh, maybe we should be checking out the left actually.
Derp derpity derp 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 derp
And the E5 is taken out. I take a big hit in the back from the E4. Very suddenly my voice appears to have died. So, you've now got dead Razihel 501 to take you the rest of the way through this replay. I may need to get some sort of refreshment. Try to go around to spot where the IS-7 might be, and hopefully catch him unawares. I don't know how much health he's on, as we don't have the information thing that I normally would have in my replays. He's on full health, it would seem. The IS-4 and IS-7 are both paying attention to the Jaegeru and T-57 Heavy, so it is unlikely that they will be able to turn around to react to my presence. I'm going to put my first shot into the rear of the IS-7 to assist the T-57 Heavy. The IS-4 has just noticed my presence, but nevertheless I'm going to prioritise the IS-7 and hope that the T-57 Heavy comes to my rescue. Go for the tracking shot there, and the T-110E4 unfortunately catches us off guard. Let's see how our allies do in the remaining game. Often on the test server you get these people that have just started playing World of Tanks and have heard of the test server where you can unlock any tank you want, and they're used to playing tier 5s and 6s, and they have no idea how to play these high tier vehicles and just run in and lose all their health. And that's why you get these very, very quick games on the test server where everyone is firing gold ammunition, which doesn't really reflect how the tank's actually going to play out, but that's their choice. So, yeah. This AMX-30 is on low health against an IS-4 and a T-110E4. Let's see how he does. The base is under threat, so I assume he'll be using some camouflage to spot the enemy vehicles, but no, he doesn't, because that would be sensible. Let's have a look at how we did. We did 4,019 damage, which wasn't excellent, but we did what we could. Our Jaegeru did a bit better, but nevertheless, that was in the AMX-30B. I've been Razihel 501. Hope you've enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time.
Because you are